This is a video on preventative care for people over 55. I made one in the past, and that was with no equipment. Today, we're going to be doing one just using a little bit of a light band to give us a little bit extra resistance and allow us to do some patterns that we weren't able to do in the past. So let's get started. The first one we're going to be doing is a dead bug, but now we're going to be using the band to create a little bit more tension in our upper body. So what you're going to do is set up just like your dead bugs in the past. Arms out in front of you, legs at that 90 degree. We're going to grab the band now, and we're going to grab it so we can get it pretty tight so our hands are close together, and we're going to pull it apart and create tension this way. Now we're going to perform our dead bug, making sure to keep tension in our core and tension through that resistance of the band so we're pulling apart the whole time. Okay? If we notice that our lower back is coming off the floor when we're performing this activity, or we're feeling any pain in the lower back or hips, we're just going to do that modified version where we're hinging at the hip and performing a gentle heel tap instead of extending the leg. Okay, should be feeling this a little bit in our shoulders and our upper body as well now. It's going to be an advancement for us. There is one more progression I'll show you quick too, which is, let's move this out of our way a little bit, which is if we create that tension still, and then we extend both arms overhead as we perform it, that's going to be an even greater challenge for our entire body. The superset we had with that exercise was our glute bridge with the band. So all we're doing now is we're going to put the band, loop it under one foot. We're going to loop it under the other foot, and we're going to pull the band around our knees. Now when we perform that bridge, we're going to have that extra resistance, and our body is going to want to push out against it, which is going to give us a little bit more challenge on our glutes. So as we push up, we're pushing out slightly against the band, just ever so slightly. We're going for that hold at the top, and we're coming back down. We want to see at the top that we have full hip extension. We're rounded onto the shoulders. We're gently pushing out, but we're not hyperextending through the back, so our back is nice and straight throughout this motion. Okay, we can perform repetitions of that, and it should be a lot more challenge on the glutes. If that's still a little bit too easy, the single leg bridge variation might be a better one for you. We have to really make sure with the single leg bridge that our foot is nice and close to our butt. Otherwise, it might become too hamstring dominant. Though it will be naturally a little bit more hamstring. It's fighting rotation. Our next exercise is going to be still our squats or sit to stand on the chair. And we're going to pair that up with a banded shoulder press. So when we're performing our squats, just keep in mind the best way to start to get more challenge out of squats is to perform them very slowly with pauses and or increase our range of motion. So right now, if we're trying to increase our squat difficulty, we're going to come down. We can come down nice and low if it's easy. If not, go to the position that feels comfortable and pain-free. And then we can start to actually add a pause. 1, 2, up. Even longer if it's still not very challenging. That's going to get the quads working a lot more, or depending on how you squat, maybe the glutes. But either way, that's going to create a lot greater challenge. We're supersetting that with our banded shoulder press. We can do this either standing or sitting. I'm going to show you standing first. I'll show you sitting after. So the banded shoulder press, what we're going to do is get the band wrapped under our feet. We're going to pull the band up, and we're going to press it overhead. We're going to control it back down. If you look from my side view, as I'm pressing up, I'm making sure my elbows aren't kicking back in any direction. They're staying under my hands. Okay? Our chest is proud, and we're driving that overhead. Now, if you find it painful in that position, we can start to push out in front of us a little bit more, but that's going to put a little bit more wear on the shoulder. So if we can comfortably, we're going to try and press directly overhead. Okay? The seated version of this is just going to give us a little bit less resistance. And what that's going to look like is We're actually going to take the band, we're going to sit on it instead. So the easiest way for us is actually going to be to loop it over, get it underneath our bum, sitting down, and then we can still perform that overhead. If we grab it with a little bit more slack in between, then it's going to make it a little bit harder because we have more stretch along the side. So for instance, if I give it even more slack, this is going to become a lot more difficult. And we're just trying to even out how much tension we have on both sides when we perform that. And then I think we're on to our last pairing, or we got two more this time. So we're gonna be going on to a banded row and then a supported split squat. The banded row is something we haven't actually had the ability to target very much so far, which is our lat or back muscles. Because without the band, it's incredibly difficult to actually accumulate or find a position that we can put load on it. So we're going to perform this in two different ways. The first one's going to be, we're going to double up the band. We're going to place it on the floor underneath our feet. Probably a narrow stance a little bit better just because we don't have as much stretch on the band. But if you can think about coming out a little bit for stability. Then we're going to try and get into a hinge position. So we're going to push our hips back, allowing our knees to bend ever so slightly, but we're not squatting, so we're not allowing the knee to come forward. We're just pushing the hips back. Once we're in this position, we're then going to row or drive our elbows back, only so far that we're building tension in the lat. If I go further than that, I start to creep up into the shoulder, and I start to come in that shrug position, which I do not want. So we're going to row low. We're going to hold it there for 2 seconds, and then we're going to reach back down, full reach if we can. Row low, hold, back down. Okay, when you perform this activity, remember that we're trying to build tension in our lat muscle. So up here, not in the top of our shoulder. Another variation we can perform, if that's a little bit hard to get into position and stay in position with, we can then take the band. We're going to loop it under our feet just like we did when we were standing. We can extend our legs a bit. We're making sure that our heels are down on the floor. And then we're going to perform the same motion. We can extend the legs more for more difficulty, or we can bring them in a little bit more if we want less difficulty, though typically out extended is going to be a little bit better for us. So we're rowing, we're going to hold, and we're letting off. I'm trying to keep a pretty neutral spine. I'm trying to keep that chest pretty proud when I'm performing this activity. Okay? Just think that that elbow and hand is on the same angle or similar angle to that band angle when we're pulling it back, and that goes for both of them. The split squat is a little bit more challenging workout. We're going to do it with the support, and we're only going to do it to the extent that our capabilities allow because it is challenging. We have the chair there. We can't rely on it fully. The chair is not the best support ever. We could also use something like the wall. I'm going to show you with the chair today, and I might show you with the wall in a moment. But what I want you to think when you're performing this is you're going to set up in a nice wide position that we have plenty of room to move. We're going to then think about coming onto our toe on our back leg, and we're going to think about driving that knee forward over our toes on the front foot. We can perform that to whatever's comfortable for us. Like I said, we have that support of the chair, so we're just going to ease into it and see what we're comfortable with. Okay. One thing we don't want to do is on that front leg, we don't want to start to come onto our tippy toes on the front leg. We want to keep that heel down the whole time. So allowing that knee to drive forward. We got that chair there for support, back up. Just like squats, just like anything else, we're taking control of the pattern. We're not letting the pattern take control of us. So if you look, I'm not losing tension. I'm not bouncing around. I'm not driving my knee into the floor and smoking the floor with my knee. I'm taking control of the movement. You could also do that with something like the wall support there. I have actually this little lip here. Could be really good for just giving me that extra support when I'm performing this activity. Your hand wants to be in a position that you're not having to reach far up when you're coming down, so typically grab it a little bit lower. You can perform reps on one side and then alternate sides. So we're going to do all your reps on one and then switch to the other. Remember, these are supersets, so that shoulder press, the row and then the split squat were together. Our next one's going to be our standing shoulder tees with the band. And then we're going to do a marching hamstring bridge, or just a hamstring bridge hold, depending on the level you're at right now. So for the T's, what we're going to do is we're going to think about bringing our arms apart and pinching our upper back, but now we're going to add a little bit of resistance with that band. So we're going to grab that pretty far apart or to whatever difficulty you think you can handle. And you're going to think about pulling your hands apart away from each other as you kind of pinch your upper back. If you look, I'm stopping about here because I can feel a good tension building up. I could actually potentially go a lot further back, but then I start to lose it and my shoulder isn't stable. So I want to make sure that I'm only going so far that I can feel that tension building in my upper back and the back of my shoulders. We're going to hold it for 1, 2, and then we can let off. And then we're going to actually keep a little bit of tension still here. We're not going to fully let it off at the back. And then we're going to go back into it. 1, 2, and then we keep a little bit of tension. Go again. 1, 2. Okay. That's going to be great for our posture. It's going to help to build our upper back and shoulder muscles on the back side. And then for the next one, what we're thinking about doing with this hamstring bridge is we're thinking about doing almost like a reversal of a plank. So what that's going to look like is we're going to get laid on our back. We're going to make sure our core is nice and tight. We're going to extend our legs. And for this one, we're going to extend them pretty far. It's not like the glute bridge. We're going to extend them out to the point, actually, the further you can go, the better. But if it's really hard, really challenging, just bring your feet in a little bit, no worries. We're going to think about driving our heel into the floor when we perform this. We're elevating that glute or elevating our hips off the floor. And we're going to try and hold that. Now, if you find that's comfortable, you can perform that pretty well. We're actually going to accelerate this one more, which is going to create tons of hip stability, which is great for us. So then we're going to actually elevate 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're just going to do kind of marches in that position. Okay? Think about keeping your core tight. Think about keeping your legs stiff and stable. So these are the new workouts. These are the ones that implement a band and a couple progressions in there. One thing I didn't go over was our warm-up scheme. I did shorten it a little bit from before, but it's the same warm-ups. Just like always, do the exercises as I've cued you, but modify to your own body. Make sure that you don't have any of those chronic pain flare-ups popping up. And make sure, even if it's certain exercises, you've tried them, and over time, they tend to just kind of hurt you more and more. Then switch it out. You have those exercises from before that might work a little bit better for you. Good luck with this, and I can't wait to see how you're doing it.